What's good, YouTube fam? It's your girl China iHoop Party coming to you live. This video is titled Caitlin Clark is exposing the WNBA self-sabotage. It's posted by Foot on the Line. Let's get right into it.
So Ice Cube, face of the Big 3 League, gave a generous offer to Caitlin Clark, but unfortunately, that offer not only ruffled some feathers, but it started to reveal some potential uncomfortable truths about the WNBA and why they possibly aren't succeeding as much as they should be.
It is a generous offer, and look, we're in a new age. It's like NIL. When we came up with the idea, our sponsors, our partners, they all want to make it happen. So, we was able to make that generous offer. We've thought about it. It's definitely doable. Both leagues play on CBS, so of course they love it if we can make it happen. So it's it's up to the player. As a league, we'll make it happen. We've always wanted to work with the WNBA. We wanted to work with the NBA. Unfortunately, that hasn't been able to happen.
Absolutely, $5 million is a generous offer. I can't see how Caitlin Clark could refuse such a deal. And I really do think Ice Cube offered it because it could bring some light to the Big 3 League that he has created. And also, Caitlin Clark, she's a clutch shooter. If she gets the space between those players, she can definitely make some points on the league. Getting in the paint, I question that, especially if they're playing seriously against her. But, I think she could do a little something and also bring that attention to the league that he desires and also bring the money to the league.
Caitlin Clark, senior, coming out of Iowa, balling out of her mind right now. This season, Caitlin is averaging 32 points, 9 assists, 7 rebounds, shooting splits of 45, 38, 86, is easily one of the most enjoyable, entertaining ball players, regardless of gender, regardless of race, regardless of whatever. Easily one of the most enjoyable ball players to watch right now. Electrifying, sensational, amazing to watch, right? And so, if you are WNBA, if you're someone who's rooting and supporting for women's basketball, you want to get behind this.
Boy, those stats are crazy good. Very good stats. And not only is she a scorer, but she's smooth with it. She's quick with it. She can get in the paint. She's versatile. The girl is a showstopper. She's entertaining to watch for sure. I've been looking at the highlights and I'm like, oh, the girl is clean. Okay. And she's got the height on her. So, that's also another advantage. I think it's well deserved that she got the offer. She stands out. She's broken records. So I'm ready to see some of these clips. I think he's going to put some in here, like of WNBA players showing that they're salty. I don't understand why. I mean, I get it. I know why. But come on now. She's a female hooper. She just got offered a deal that nobody's been offered to play in a league with guys. Come on, show some love. Feel like it's about goddamn time. Something. Don't have any negativity to say about it. It's ridiculous.
Now, to be fair, what Ice Cube is trying to sit here and claim and supporting women, that's great. But the truth of the matter is that number is being presented to Caitlin Clark because she's entertaining to watch and she has the backing behind it with the viewership as well. Because with those numbers that she's posting, with the electrifying play that she has that captivates the audience, the numbers, the ratings, the viewership is at historic highs. And I don't just mean that for women's basketball. I mean that for like college basketball, period. Literally just yesterday from when I'm recording this video, Caitlin Clark, Iowa, draws a record 4.9 million viewers in the second round in the NCAA win. It's ridiculous right now. The Hawkeyes 64-54 victory over West Virginia in Monday's night second round game averaged 4.9 million viewers on ESPN, according to Nielsen, making it the most viewed women's tournament game ever, excluding Final Four contests and title games.
4.9 million views, that is crazy. Women's college basketball has been lit this year. I'm around people at work, the guys, they mention Caitlin Clark all the time. If we bring basketball up, they bring her up. I'm just like, damn, I see why she's drawing so much attention though, because she is talented and entertaining with it. A lot of the women's basketball players in D1, they're all talented. The WNBA, they're all talented, but are they entertaining? Do they add that element? She does. It's the way she creates that space, the way she gets those deep threes. It is wild. So the girl bringing in 4.9 million viewers, I could see it happening because she's different. Wherever she plays, they will watch.
Monday night's game is also the most watched NCAA tournament game, men's or women's, on cable this year. The previous record was 4.1 million with an overtime victory of Houston's overtime victory on Texas A&M Saturday night on TNT. Now, mind you, this game happened on Monday, also during regular NBA games as well, so keep that in mind. It is the fourth Iowa women's game this season and first one on cable where the viewership was over 3 million viewers. Crazy. According to ESPN, Sunday and Monday's second round games average 1.4 million viewership, which is 121% increase over last year. Now, why is all of this important? Well, over the past couple of years, there's been ongoing conversations about the WNBA and the viewership surrounding that league. Why is it so low? How can they get it higher? And I have said certain things without me being very knowledgeable of the game. So because of that, I really took a step back from this conversation for the last year and a half, watched a little bit more women's basketball. And my opinion, for the most part, still is pretty sound. My overarching belief is that the WNBA, the game itself, just isn't that entertaining for most people. I don't even think it's a women's thing. I just think that the way that they play basketball in that league is not going to be enjoyable to how most people perceive and consume basketball in today's game. But
that's exactly what I was saying. It must be entertaining because as adults, we go to work, then we go home, we got some free time. We want to be entertained or we want to rest. One or the other, typically. You got different forms of entertainment. You got the movies, plays, other sports, concerts, top-notch entertainment that we're willing to pay for and sit down in a stadium for a couple hours. The WNBA, it just seems like fundamental basketball. What else you got? Pull them tricks out your bags. I know these girls can hoop. These women, they're not girls. They're women that have been hooping for years. I know they can hoop. I know there are some crazy handlers on these teams, but they choose not to show those talents. Why? Because nobody wants to see flashy. The flashy stuff is not real basketball. I bet that's what the coaches would say. They need to show some flash. Show the good stuff. I want to see an ankle breaker. I want to see somebody get crossed up. And I want to see a nice no-look pass, and then y'all make the layup. Make a reverse layup. Do that stuff. Like, that's what makes the game entertaining. We want to see the cool stuff. Stuff that most other players cannot do. I think the last time I went to a WNBA game was maybe 4 or 5 years ago. And it was free. Every time I've gone to a WNBA game, it's been free. And I've gone to like 3 in my lifetime. It just wasn't all that to me because it was just, they're good. They're good, don't get me wrong. But it's just not that entertaining. And that's why they're not getting as much viewership as well, I think. So, yeah.
That's the thing. Caitlin Clark, in the way that she plays, actually does present that level of entertainment, and it's the reason why the viewership is as high as it is right now. These numbers are outrageous, and it further proves a point that the takes of lowering the rim may not have been as credible as many people try to make it out to be. And also, it kind of dispels this concept of like, oh, men just don't want to support us because they're misogynistic and da-da-da, and it's like, that can't be the case either because there's no way you get that level of viewership if men are not also watching as well. Even though the offer, I honestly believe is some BS, this is W right here, dog. There's a W offer because if anything, it provides the evidence that, hey, people want to watch women's basketball. The numbers back it up. We have someone who's going to be playing at a high level who can going to continue to give us these numbers and evidence to show this. And now we have a league that is telling us what the market value for Caitlin Clark is, an athlete of this stature that provides this level of entertainment value and viewership. And you're talking about $5 million. Again, the credibility behind the offer is up in the air, but at least it's out there.
Yes, he has a very good point. Maybe lowering the rim, you don't have to do that. It could definitely be entertaining without making those adjustments. But I still wouldn't mind those rims being lowered because I want to see some women get dunked on, okay? I want to see them doing the alley-oops too. But women cannot jump as high. Women are not as strong. So what is the solution? Lower those rims. Maybe we can see some dunks. Maybe you guys can bring in more money, more viewership, more fans. I think that would be very awesome. I know some people might disagree, but that's honestly my opinion. That's what would make me, myself, and I actually show up to one of those WNBA games and actually pay my own money for it. That's the real.
And not just Caitlin Clark, it's also Angel Reese as well and what they're doing out there in South Carolina because that viewership is also up as well. Back in January 26th this year, South Carolina's 76-70 win over LSU officially averaged 1.56 million viewers, topping the NBA matchup against the Boston Celtics and the Miami Heat on TNT at the same time, which only averaged 1.38 million. So now we're talking about, again, I want to be clear, women's basketball has viewership that is rivaling the NBA on any given night. Let that settle in. Both Angel Reese and Caitlin Clark are about to enter the WNBA.
Those two hoopers, Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese, they both have a social media presence. I'm sure a lot of young girls look up to them, want to be just like them, hoop just like them. And South Carolina, golly, that whole team, man, a team that's just good, just talented like that. Man, you can bring in the viewers. You can. I don't know what it is, what they're doing consistently, but they're doing it. And they're doing it well.
This moment in WNBA history is monumental. There's no denying it at all, because all of the excuses to why your league has not been getting the viewership may be addressed with two players, very similar to what we saw with Magic Johnson and Larry Bird. But instead of championing getting behind these two women, in particular Caitlin Clark, who's putting up ridiculous numbers, what I start to realize very carefully is that we have people in the community actually tearing her down and doing the damage that is consistently holding that league back. First, we have Lexi Brown on Gilbert Arenas podcast because she has something to say about the whole situation with the offer that was given.
What do you think about Ice Cube and the Big 3 offering Caitlin Clark $5 million to play in their league?
Well, I have a lot of thoughts. But the first one is that TMZ, they put out the statement that he was going to give the contract to Caitlin Clark. But if you open the article and you see what he said was his reasoning, he wanted to provide more opportunities for WNBA players and provide opportunities to not go overseas. So you offered the contract to a player who's not yet even in the WNBA. Big 3 does not happen during overseas season. So that doesn't make sense.
That's true.
And then you pretty much offended all of the European countries that open their doors to us, give us a lot of money, a lot of love, and a lot of experience by calling them dismal and dubious. And there are some very beautiful countries that we have the opportunity to go play in. So, I mean...
So she didn't even acknowledge Caitlin Clark's talents. The fact that she's broken records, that's the reason he offered it specifically to her. And it was a given that she was going to be going to the WNBA. Also, even though the Big 3 League isn't during the same time the overseas leagues are happening, that could be that extra income to prevent her from having to go overseas. Maybe she could take that time where she would be overseas and just spend that time, training at home, being home with family, friends, and still working out there, having a routine, of course, not get out of shape. But she's made enough money to stay in America. I don't think he had to make a comment about the other countries being dismal and dubious, but at least it does prevent other players from having to go overseas and play, if he does give other WNBA players the opportunity to play in this league. And at least he did offer it to a female basketball player. If Caitlin Clark didn't exist, would this offer be on the table for anybody right now in the WNBA or any other college female hooper? It definitely is a business move, I think, as well. But she's good enough for him to offer it. And just be happy for her. Like, Caitlin Clark didn't ask for this. Caitlin Clark didn't specifically go to Ice Cube and say, hey, I'm the shit. Offer me a contract, please. No. Ice Cube did this. So people coming at her, it doesn't make any sense. To make these negative comments, it doesn't make any sense.
So, I mean... if you're going to say that it's for that, then stand on that. But I don't think I think he's trying to make a business decision, which he's a businessman. That makes sense. But to mask it in this, I want to uplift and support WNBA players and women athletes is kind of a cop-out, I think. And I don't think it really makes any sense.
Regardless of how you may not like or like what Ice Cube is doing, at the end of the day, it is some form of support towards women athletes. Why he may be doing it is beneficial practice. We financially, he should benefit from it. That's the reason why he's doing it. But for you not to still acknowledge it's still some form of support to women, I think it's crazy. But then I dug a little deeper and I saw this clip also from Gilbert Arenas podcast, Miss Cheryl Swoops, and this is what she said.
So when you look at Caitlin Clark and what she's doing now, on the verge of breaking Kelsey Plum's record, obviously generational college basketball career, how do you think her game will translate to the W?
So that's a two-part question for me. Because I say this, yes, records are made and set to be broken. But if you're going to break a record, this isn't just for Caitlin, but you asked me about Caitlin. If you're going to break a record, to me, if it's legitimate, you have to break that record in the same amount of time that player set it.
Okay.
Right? So if Kelsey Plum set that record in 4 years, well, Caitlin should have broke that record in 4 years. But because there's a COVID year, and then there's another year, you know what I mean? So she's already had an extra year to break that record.
I thought the COVID year actually stopped athletes from being able to play, right? They weren't having games. Games were being canceled. They weren't able to travel. So I don't think that gave them an extra year. Maybe to perfect their craft, to practice, but to actually play in games, I don't think that gave her an extra year. Mm-mm.
So let's stop there and let me make sure the job is done correctly, because no one on that set actually corrected her, and completely an unnecessary thing to say. Somebody breaking a record, you just celebrate them, right? Let me go ahead and correct her, as somebody should on that set should have done. But to fact check what was just said, Caitlin Clark not only played fewer games as she did it in 123 games when Kelsey Plum had 139 games, but she also had 4 years. Why you think the COVID year added another year, I don't know. That doesn't, I don't know. But it's odd that, again, that's how you're talking about somebody who's going to be transcendent.
Well, there goes my answer. Thank you. Yes, with the stats. Okay. She didn't even play the same amount of games. What? You can't make this shit up. Like, why are they hating on this girl? Honestly, it makes no sense to me. She is a female hooper that has done some amazing things. Give her credit. Give credit where it's due. She hasn't asked for all of this attention. She didn't ask for that contract. She's just playing the game that she loves. Why not just acknowledge that she's a good player? Why can't they just show some love? Anyways, I hope Caitlin Clark does well in the WNBA. I hope she proves these ladies wrong, shows them up, show them that she can hang in the WNBA, adjust very quickly, and do her thing. But what do you guys think? Let me know down below. And if y'all like this content, like, comment, subscribe. And until next time, I'm China iHoop Party. I'm out.